Hey, I'm Lukaneil. Welcome to my travel vlog. In this video, we're diving into part 1 of our 3-day trip to Rocky Mountain National Park. From arriving on the quiet mountain town of Grand Lake, to hiking frozen trails and chasing alpine views, it's all here. This vlog isn't about perfect itineraries, it's about chasing moments that stay with you. If you're into real travel stories, you're in the right place. So, let's get into it. We landed in Denver around 3 p.m., picked up our bags, and were starving. We stopped at a Filipino restaurant downtown. It looked promising, but honestly, it was a bit overpriced and underwhelming. Still, it gave us a chance to sit down and recharge before the next stretch. We ordered pandezel, beef sisig, quinoa, though unexpectedly, it came with scallops instead of tuna. Along with BBQ and pinakbit, the flavors were different, a little more modern, almost like a Filipino fusion twist. Some bites felt familiar, others totally new. It wasn't exactly what we expected. After that, we loaded up the car and started the drive toward Grand Lake, leaving the city behind and heading straight into the mountains. The drive to Grand Lake took about 3 hours. As the city faded behind us, the views kept getting better: winding roads, snow-capped peaks, and wide-open skies. By the time we arrived, we were ready to rest up for the big day ahead. Day 2 started bright and early. We left around 3 a.m., and by the time we hit the road, the sky was already starting to brighten. We were running on minimal sleep, but the excitement made up for it. The roads were calm and the air was crisp. It felt like the park was slowly waking up with us. Since Trail Ridge Road was still closed to the public, we had to take the longer way around, and the drive to Bear Lake Trailhead took about 3 hours. Along the way, we passed through quiet valleys, frozen creeks, and snow-dusted peaks. It was one of those drives that felt like part of the adventure itself. We finally made it to Bear Lake Trailhead, one of the most popular spots in Rocky Mountain National Park. The hike leads to 3 alpine lakes: Nymph, Dream, and finally, Emerald Lake. It's only a few miles round trip, but with the elevation and icy conditions, it felt much longer. The first part of the trail was smooth. Snow lined the path, but nothing too crazy, just cold, fresh air, and a steady climb. As we reached Nymph Lake, the trees opened up to reveal a partially frozen lake surrounded by snow-covered pines. We stopped to catch our breath and soak in the view. The next stretch to Dream Lake was tougher. That's where the ice really kicked in. Parts of the trail were completely frozen over, slick and slippery. We saw a few people turning around, and honestly, we considered it too. But we took it slow, used whatever traction we had, and kept climbing. So here's a quick tip: if you're doing this hike in late spring or early summer, bring microspikes or traction cleats. They'll give you a better grip on the frozen paths, especially the shaded, steeper sections. Trekking poles can help, too, for balance and confidence when you're crossing icy patches. Also, take your time. The views aren't going anywhere, and it's better to move slow than to slip. Reaching Dream Lake felt like a reward. The wind was howling, the lake was frozen and glowing under the morning light, but we weren't done yet. When we reached Dream Lake, we took a break. The lake was partially frozen, with soft wind sweeping across the surface and peaks towering around us. We sat, rested, and just took it all in. It was one of those views you want to pause and remember. The final stretch to Emerald Lake felt different. The trail narrowed, the snow got deeper, and there were fewer people around, just the sound of our footsteps and a crunch of snow beneath us. The trees opened up slowly as we climbed, and we could feel the cold air shift as we got closer. Every now and then, we'd pause, look around, and realize how quiet it had become, like the whole landscape was holding its breath. It was peaceful, still, and honestly kind of surreal. And then, through the trees, we saw it. Emerald Lake was completely frozen, framed by rugged cliffs and untouched snow. After soaking in the view at Emerald Lake, we headed back down the trail, carefully sliding our way over the ice. It was slower going on the way down, but also way more fun. A few intentional slides and a few not so intentional ones. Once we made it back to the trailhead, we drove into Estes Park for lunch and grabbed a meal at Estes Thai. After lunch, we checked out the Estes Park aerial tramway, a quick but scenic ride that gave us a whole new perspective on the town and the surrounding peaks. Definitely worth doing if you're already in the area. Before heading back, we made one more stop, the iconic Stanley Hotel. It's famous for its historic charm, its stunning mountain backdrop, and of course, its spooky connection to The Shining. We actually forgot to take video while we were there. We were just caught up in the moment. But we did grab a few photo and some quick selfie to remember it by. After visiting the Stanley Hotel, we started driving back toward Grand Lake, expecting another long, winding route around the mountains. But then we checked the park's website. Trail Ridge Road was open. After being closed for most of our trip due to snow and ice, it had finally reopened. Just in time, we didn't hesitate. The road climbed quickly above the tree line, twisting through vast, open alpine tundra. The air got colder, the sky stretched wider. And the mountains, those iconic Rockies, surrounded us like we were driving through the heart of something ancient. Snow clung to the ridges, wind swept across frozen peaks. Every curve revealed a new panorama, valleys that looked untouched, ridgelines that rolled on forever. The silence in the car said it all. We just watched, took it in, no music, no talking, just awe. It wasn't just a shortcut. It felt like the park had been holding this view for the perfect moment, not as a goodbye, but as a gift. A reminder of how wild and beautiful this place really is. And we were lucky enough to catch it right when it opened up to us. We slept in, took our time, and soaked up the view right from the Airbnb. With the mountains in the background, we filmed a little video selfie, just something simple to remember how peaceful the morning felt. Then we headed into town for breakfast at Sagebrush BBQ and Grill, a cozy little spot tucked into the heart of Grand Lake. Inside, it smelled like smoked brisket and buttered toast, with old wooden beams, deer antlers on the wall, and that lived-in mountain town feel. It wasn't fancy, but it didn't need to be. Just hearty, honest food that hit the spot after 2 full days of adventure. And for a moment, it felt like time slowed down. No hikes, no plans, just good food, warm coffee, and the quiet hum of a town waking up around us. One of those breakfasts you remember not because of what you ate, but because of how it felt. After eating, we set off toward the Alpine Visitor Center, ready to take on Trail Ridge Road. But here's something important to know before you go. Trail Ridge Road requires a timed entry reservation. It's part of the park's effort to reduce congestion and protect the fragile alpine environment. You can easily book your entry window through the official Rocky Mountain National Park website. It only takes a minute, but it's mandatory. Rangers will check for your reservation at the entrance station, and if you don't have it, you'll have to turn back. So plan ahead, it's worth it. Because once you're on that road, the views don't just speak for themselves, they shout. Mountains stretch for miles, snow cuts across ridgelines like icing on a cake, and every curve feels like you're being pulled deeper into the sky. Trail Ridge Road isn't just a drive, it's a moment, and it starts with that simple reservation. The higher we climbed, the quieter everything got. Trail Ridge Road rose above the tree line, carving its way through vast alpine tundra. The temperature dropped, the winds picked up, and the world opened wide around us. Snow still clung to the edges of the cliffs, and the clouds cast soft shadows that drifted across the mountains like slow-moving waves. It didn't feel like a road anymore. It felt like we were driving on the spine of the Rockies. There were moments we just stopped, not because we had to, but because the view asked us to. No photo or video could ever really capture it, but still, we tried. The Alpine Visitor Center sits at over 11,000 feet, the highest visitor center in the entire national park system. It's more than just a stop, it's a place where the mountains feel close enough to touch. Inside, there are panoramic windows, educational exhibits about the alpine tundra, and a short trail out back that leads to breathtaking views over the Continental Divide. But during our visit, it was all closed. Snow still blanketed the upper elevations, and the center hadn't opened for the season yet. Even the trail behind it, which normally gives you a sweeping 360 view of the Rockies, was roped off due to dangerous icy conditions. At first, it was a little disappointing. We had driven all that way, hoping to explore more. But standing there, just outside the closed doors, wind cutting through the silence, mountains surrounding us on every side, we realized the view was still enough. Sometimes the best parts of a trip aren't what you planned for. It's what you stood still for. After soaking in the high-altitude views at the Alpine Visitor Center, even with the building and trail closed, we started the descent down Trail Ridge Road on the park's quieter western side. The landscape began to shift again, from icy alpine ridges to wide green valleys. The air warmed slightly, and tall pine forests stretched along the road as we made our way toward our next stop, the Holzwarth Historic Site. It's not a typical tourist spot, no gift shop, no lines, just a dirt path leading to a series of old cabins nestled in a wide, open meadow. The cabins, weathered but strong, were built by the Holzwarth family in the 1910s, part of a homestead that later became one of the park's first dude ranches. A park ranger happened to be nearby and walked with us, sharing stories about the family, the land, and what life looked like here more than a century ago. As we listened, we wandered from one building to the next, and that's when we saw it. A moose slowly grazing near the edge of the trees, massive, quiet, and completely at home. It felt surreal to see something so wild standing beside something so human, a moment where the past and the present quietly crossed paths. We didn't stay long, but the stillness of that place and that moment stayed with us. Sometimes the quiet stops become the ones you remember most. Before heading back for the night, we made one last stop, Grand Lake. Nestled at the edge of the park, the town feels like something out of a postcard. Rustic boardwalks, log cabins turned gift shops, and a stillness in the air that makes you want to move slower. We didn't have a checklist here. We just wandered, walked along the wooden planks, peeked into a few shops, and listened to the soft lap of the lake against the shore. Boats drifted lazily in the marina. Kids tossed pebbles into the water. The mountains towered in the background like quiet giants. It felt like the kind of place where time presses pause. To end the day, we stopped by a little ice cream shop near the water, one of those small town places with charm in every corner. We sat on a bench just outside, cones in hand, letting the sweet melt of the ice cream slow everything down. There wasn't much to say. The moment kind of spoke for itself. The sun was low, the breeze was soft, and for a while, it felt like nothing else mattered. A peaceful, simple ending to a full day. It wasn't just a trip and one we won't forget. Three days in Rocky Mountain National Park, and somehow, it still didn't feel like enough. We saw frozen lakes, climbed through snow, got lost in silence, and found stillness in places we didn't expect. It wasn't just a trip. It was 3 a.m. starts, it was icy trails, it was warm meals after long drives. It was the sound of nothing at 11,000 feet. And it was the kind of peace you don't know you need until you feel it. We came here thinking about where to go and what to see. But somewhere along the way, it became more about how it made us feel. That's what travel should be, not just checking off stops, but letting the place, the weather, the people, the surprises shape the story for you. Moments greater than itineraries. If this left you with a spark of wonder or a reason to plan your own version of this, hit that like button, subscribe, and come with me on the next adventure. Because the road doesn't end here, this was just one chapter. More stories, more moments, coming soon.